I, 33F, recently got married to my boyfriend of 3 years, let's call him Leo. He is 28M, and we met 3 years ago, at a coworker's wedding. Leo had asked me out and it did not take me a second to say yes because he was everything that I had been looking for. He was really cute and from our minimal interaction, I had already judged that he was quite funny and smart. We were also in the same line of work so I knew that we would have a lot to talk about, so I said yes to that date. We started living together after a year of being in a relationship, and when he proposed to me, I said yes, a couple of months ago. I really love him and I don't think I've ever met a man like him in my entire life. He is the smartest, funniest, and most charming person I have ever met. I think I am at my happiest when I am with him and I just really love him and I know that he loves me too, and he would never do anything to hurt me. And believe me, I have been hurt a lot in my past relationship. I was with another guy, let's call him Nick, for almost 7 years before I met Leo. Nick and I went to high school together and we were really good friends back then. I think I would say that he was actually my best friend before we started dating. I knew him really well and he knew everything about me as well, so when he asked me out in our senior year, I said yes because I really liked him, but I was not sure if he had feelings for me and so I did not want to risk our friendship by asking him out first. But it all worked out for me back then because as it turns out, he had also liked me for a really long time but I didn't ask me out for the same reason. We started going out together when we were 18 and stayed together for 7 years until we were 25. We broke up because things got way too sick for me and I could not stay with him after I found out that he had been cheating on me for almost a year. Things had been pretty bad before that and the cheating was pretty much the straw that broke the camel's back. I was obviously devastated after our breakup because I had honestly believed that I was going to be married to Nick and we would have a family of our own one day. I had dreams of having a life with that guy, but everything went to the gutters when I realized that I had been living a lie and he was definitely not the man for me, regardless of how long we had been together. Nick and I had decided to apply and then go to the same college by choice because we wanted to stay together and our parents were also on board with it because they knew that we wanted nothing but each other. We had been friends since middle school so our families knew that we were serious about each other and allowed us to make our decisions without any interference. My father had passed away when I was in middle school, so the only family that I had was my mother and she really was not the best person to be in charge because she was so busy with her own life that she could hardly be bothered about me. She just usually let me do whatever I wanted and I was okay with it. I had my own space and complete freedom and nobody to tell me what to do. It was probably not good but I turned out just fine so whatever. Anyway, I didn't really have a close relationship with my mother so I was allowed to do whatever I wanted and Nick was very open and transparent with his family, so he was also not worried about what they had to say. We had made up our minds that we were going to live together after we had graduated from college and our parents were okay with it. Both of us got jobs as soon as we graduated and we rented an apartment midway from both our workplaces. Everything was really nice for the first couple of months and it felt like we were living our dream life. He was really thoughtful and considerate, and I was also trying to be the kind of person that I thought he wanted. But then, with time, things started changing between us. I don't know what it was, maybe it was just real life hitting us hard, but I was sure that something was off. He started snapping at me for the smallest of things, and I felt like he was constantly looking for a way to insult me or he would always apologize later, but never change his behavior. And it was always weird, minor, and petty stuff that he would get mad about. Like one time, he got mad at me for not putting enough salt in his food, and he refused to even have dinner that day, and it made me feel so bad about myself. Because I was doing everything that I could to do all the work around the house and still not compromise on my quality of work in the office. And it was just a lot of pressure for me to take. Before that, he had always tried to help me out with the housework and made sure that it did not fall on me alone. But slowly, he had started putting it all on me and I ended up having to do all the work around the house because he would always say that he was too tired. We worked the same number of hours and we would come back home at the same time, but still, I would have to be the one to do all the work. I would do all the cooking and cleaning and he would still pick on me and make me feel bad about myself, even though he knew that I was doing my absolute best to keep him happy. So things had changed considerably just a couple of months into our relationship while we were living together, but I still did not leave because I really loved him and I wanted to make things work. So every time that he would apologize, I would try to talk to him and sort things out and he would promise me that he would change, but a couple of weeks later, he would repeat the same things again. After one point, I got tired of the cycle that we were stuck in, so I stopped saying anything at all and just ignored him whenever he had one of his outbursts. It was difficult for me, and I would cry almost every day, but I did not want to leave because I was in love with him. And he kept apologizing to me every single time that he messed up and I would not have the courage to leave because I did not know how to live without him. So I just kept forgiving him and giving him multiple chances to change, but he never did. In fact, his behavior started getting even worse with time, and his apologies kept getting more and more elaborate. So it was even more difficult for me to leave, and I was in a very bad position at the time. I know that a lot of you might be judging me and thinking that I was a coward and that I should have just left if things were so bad, but I think anybody who has been in a relationship like that would know that it's really not that easy. It's very easy to just say that I would have left, but trust me, when you are in that sort of situation, you don't know what to do. You lose all sense of yourself and who you are, and you keep going back to the same person again and again because they keep attacking your self-esteem, and that's what he was doing to me. He broke me down to a level where I actually started believing that I was not even worthy of love, and he was doing me a favor by being with me, instead of the other way around. Things were really bad because he would just keep breaking me down and then building me up, and I kept going back to him because I did not know that I deserved better. He had even alienated me from all of my friends, so I did not have anybody to talk to at that point in time, and I was completely on my own. I would just go to work, try my best to focus, and then come back home. The only person I would see was him, because any time that I wanted to hang out with any of my friends, he would just start sulking and talk about how even he had given up on time with his friends so many times, just to be with me. And then, I would feel guilty for leaving him at home alone, and I would end up canceling. This had happened so many times that my friends did not even bother to ask me to come out with them anymore. And I would feel weird asking them to take me with them, so we started distancing ourselves from each other. I don't blame them. We were all really young and I don't think they understood what was going on more than I did. But yes, I even stayed with him throughout all of that. He was just so incredibly toxic, but I did not leave because I was determined to make it work, and I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with that guy. So I was willing to do whatever it took to stay with him. I had changed everything about myself. If he said that he did not like something, I stopped doing it almost immediately. I had lost my individuality when I was with that guy. I was doing all the work at home, because he was too tired, or maybe just too lazy, to do it. I had stopped hanging out with my friends because he did not like it when I would go out with them. I had stopped talking to all the guys that I used to be friends with because he did not approve of me speaking to any other men. He would actually even get mad at me whenever I would exchange emails that were related to work with my male coworkers and would demand that I adopt a more formal tone with him, so they did not read too much into it. He was so insecure and jealous of everyone in my life that if I started listing people right now, I might not even be able to finish this post. And I did everything that he asked me to because I wanted to be with him. Nobody knew that I was going through this because when we were out there, I would always put on a happy face and try to show people that I was overjoyed to be with him. In front of the world, we were the perfect couple and everybody wanted us to stay together forever. And why wouldn't they? To them, we probably seemed like an ideal match. The two of us had been together for so long, that people probably could not even imagine one without the other. This went on for years before I finally found out what he had been up to behind my back. A couple of days after my 25th birthday, I had decided to take a day off from work, because I was feeling kind of under the weather. And I had a really bad headache that day, I remember that, so I had been looking for the medicine box that we usually keep in a cabinet under the sink. And by looking for that, I grabbed something that felt like a phone. Now, I had puttered around in that medicine box several times before that day and had never found a phone, so I knew that something was fishy. When I took that phone out, I realized that it was password protected, and I had never seen that phone before. Nick had a rule that phones or other devices were not allowed to have passwords in our home because if it required a password, it meant that we were hiding something. Neither he nor I had any sort of protection on our phone, so this was kind of weird. I had a gut feeling telling me that something was off, so I immediately called a friend of mine, and I told him that I needed him to come over right that moment. Thankfully, he did come over that day, and I told him to somehow get that phone unlocked for me. It took him some time, but eventually, he did manage to get into it, and the only apps that were there on the phone were Snapchat and Instagram. And when I went to the contacts, there was only one saved contact. The phone number has been saved as the name of a pizza place, but I was 100% sure that it was definitely not a pizza place because that would be way too convenient. I opened Snapchat and unfortunately, there was nothing on there, but when I opened Instagram, I realized that it was logged into an account that I did not know. And there was only one follower on that account, and that happened to be one of Nick's coworkers. It did not take me much time to put two and two together, and I realized what was going on. But still, I had to go through the chats, and on doing so, I realized that he had been cheating on me for more than a year. It broke my heart, but it also gave me a sense of relief because now, I finally had an excuse to let myself out of this relationship without feeling like I was giving up on something great just because of a few minor inconveniences. I was obviously really heartbroken because on my 25th birthday, he had bought me a promise ring and it was really expensive, so I thought that maybe he was actually serious about me and we were definitely going to get married in a couple of years. But after reading the conversation that he had with his coworker, on the very same night that we celebrated my birthday, and he gave me the ring, I just gave up any hope that I had of us ever ending up together. Because he had told her that he would have much rather spent the evening with her instead of me, and he had to give me the ring so that I would not suspect anything. Reading through those chats broke my heart, and I immediately decided that I was going to leave. Because I could tolerate all the toxicity, but I could not tolerate this. The least that I could have expected from him was that he would at least be loyal to me, after everything that I had done for him, and had put myself through for him. But if he could not even do that for him, I had no reason to remain in that relationship anymore. I had been thinking about leaving for quite some time anyway, because of everything that had been going on. And when I read those chats, I decided that I was done with this. After my friend left, I ended up crying for about half an hour, but then I pulled myself together. Then I started packing my things, and within 2 hours, I was at my mom's house. I did not have anywhere else to go because I had stopped speaking to most of my friends because of him. And I was not close enough to my coworkers to go to them and expect them to take me in. So, even though I did not share a very good relationship with my mother, I went to her. And she was nice enough. I explained the entire situation to her through tears. She hugged me and consoled me, and told me that I could stay with her until I found an apartment of my own. So we stayed together for a couple of weeks while I looked for something. And she actually took pretty good care of me. It was a very difficult period of time for me because I was going through a terrible breakup. Nick would try to reach out to me almost every day, and I would have to ignore him, only I know how difficult it was for me to do that. I kept feeling like I wanted to go back to him, but then I would remind myself of everything that he had said to the other girl and I would stop myself from sabotaging my life once again. That time around, I was truly and fully done with him. Even though I had not entirely moved on, in my head, I had decided that I was not going to go back ever again. The only time I did go back to the apartment was to grab a few of the things that I had left behind when I had moved out the first time. And I had run into him when I had come around. He had tried to talk to me, but I had told him that I did not have anything to say to him anymore and that we were done. That was all the closure that I needed and my decision was final. It was weird to try and get back to my previous life, but I knew that I had to do this. I started going out with my friends again, talking to all the people that he had told me not to, and just trying to get my life back on track once again. I moved into my new apartment just a month after my breakup, and my mother had been nice up until then, but after I moved out of her house, we stopped speaking once again and started growing apart once more. I tried to keep in touch, but for her, I think it was more of an out of sight, out of mind kind of situation. But I was trying to be okay with it because I was relearning how to live life on my own once more since now I did not have the safety net called Nick anymore. I had cut ties with everybody who had anything to do with him, including his parents. And I just never heard from him again. It took me a few years, but by the time I met Leo, I had mostly moved on from Nick. I had healed, and I had changed into a better person, so I think I was ready for Leo at the time. Leo knows about all of this, and he is literally the complete opposite of Nick. He is kind and caring, and even when he is mad at me, he makes it a point never to raise his voice at me, or to exchange harsh words with me. Because he knows that that's exactly what Nick used to do and he does not want to be that guy. He also always just lets me hang out with whoever I want to, instead of getting jealous and insecure, anytime that I want to go out. It's just a huge upgrade and I love him so much. But now, coming to my mother, I had this feeling that she did not like Leo as much as I did. When we first started going out together, she kept bugging me about the age cap and kept asking me if I was sure about him. Honestly, age has not been an issue in our relationship because it has just never come up. I think he is old and mature enough and it's not like he is in his early 20s. Even when we met, he was 25, which is not too young for me. I don't understand why she wanted to make a big deal out of it, but I could tell that she was not comfortable with me dating a guy younger than me. She kept trying to tell me that I had to think things through because she did not want our relationship to end up in a place where he kept relying on me for everything because I was older and more established in my career. I did not say it to her face, but I did not think I wanted to take relationship advice, or even career advice, from a woman who was dating a serial cheater, and had quit everything to be with her husband. So about that, when I was in my 3rd year of college, my mother married my stepdad. It had been almost 8 years since my father's demise at that point, so it was fine. She had been dating him for about 2 years when they got married. My mother used to go to high school with this guy and she had known him for a really long time. He had actually helped her through her grieving process and had been a really good friend to her. So I did not think there was anything wrong with them dating, but after they got married, I heard from a couple of my relatives that my mother had kicked him out of the house because he had been cheating. This news had come to me just 6 months into their marriage, so I knew that the affair had to be going on from before the wedding. I thought that my mother was going to leave because even though we don't have a good relationship, I know that she is a really headstrong and ambitious woman and she was not going to put up with this. However, to my surprise, she was just like me. She went back to him, and within days, I started hearing from people that everything was fine again. I was dealing with a lot of stuff of my own at the time, so I did not really get a proper chance to speak to my mother about it. But I did ask her, a couple of times, if everything was right between her and my stepdad. And every time, she would just tell me that it was fine, and it was just a little snag that they had hit in their marriage, but they were trying to work things out. I kept hearing from relatives and family friends about fights that they would have, and how my mother would call them up crying after every fight because he was constantly flirting with other women, right in front of her occasionally, and how terrible he made her feel. And they would come to tell me all of this, but I could not help her because I was just going through so much of my own at the time. It was a pattern. She would feel bad about the way that he would behave with other women, and she would start crying and call up other people. They would tell me about it, but I would not be able to do anything, and then she would just go back to him and forgive him for everything. At this point, everybody had just accepted it, but this is how it was. Even my mother did not make an issue out of my stepdad's behavior anymore, and just let him do whatever he wanted. So anytime there was a family event, he would be flirting with whoever he wanted to, and she did not say anything about it. She just grabbed a glass of wine and ignored him the entire time. It was sad, but everybody knew how their marriage was. Anyway, at my wedding, my mother decided to give a toast, and I let her because she was the only surviving parent that I had. It seemed necessary. And during her toast, she cracked a couple of jokes about my past relationship with Nick. I don't know why she did that or why she thought it would be funny. But it was actually really mortifying, and I was not comfortable with it. She did not even think it was necessary to run the speech by me first when she was saying stuff about such sensitive matters. And there were people there who did not even know about any of this, like some people from Leo's family. She said things like, "I hope this marriage turns out better than the one that you had planned with Nick. And that she hopes that this time, she won't have to deal with me running to her after we break up because she's too old to take care of me like a child now." By the end of her little speech, I was so upset that I said something that I probably should not have. I told her that everybody knows about the way that my stepdad treats her, how he flirts around with every woman who breathes, and how he has been cheating on her ever since they were married. And how she just allows him to get away with it because she is so scared of being alone and is desperate to be loved by somebody. So instead of commenting on my relationships, she should probably just focus on her own marriage. That really shut her up, and in order to defuse the situation, Leo called everybody to the dance floor, and it was kind of awkward for a while, but people tried to move on from that. Except for my mother. She and my stepdad left the venue immediately, and we did not hear from them until a couple of days ago. She told me that she had been really insulted by what I had said and that it was completely uncalled for. And now, she wants me to publicly apologize to her for what I said, and take it back because she does not approve of my behavior. I could tell that she was upset, but I did not think that I said anything out of line. Whatever I said was in response to what she said. And when I told her that, she started crying and said that I was her only daughter and that she had expected me to be a little more understanding of her and her humor. She said that she had just been joking, but I had really hit a nerve with what I said. I asked her why she had such a problem with it because everybody in the family already knew about her relationship with my stepdad. But then she told me that that was not really the problem. It was the fact that I had made jokes about this in front of people who did not know. Like Leo and his family, we also had a couple of family, friends, and a few of my father's old business associates, and even a couple of her friends in attendance, who did not know about this. So now, her secret was out, and she knew that she was going to be judged by everybody. Then, she reminded me of the time that I had just broken up with Nick and I had come to her, and how she had taken care of me, and been there for me. But instead of doing the same thing for her, I had said such insensitive things. And now I feel really bad about it, even though Leo thinks that I don't need to apologize to her. But I just feel really guilty about what I said. So Ida, for telling my mother to focus on her own marriage after she made jokes about my previous toxic relationship at my wedding? Update 1. Hello, Leo and I have decided that there is going to be no apology. After reading the comments, I realized that I was being stupid and sensitive again. Obviously, I don't owe an apology to the woman who never bothered to build a relationship with me and then thought that she could attend my wedding and start making jokes about my previous toxic relationship. That was crazy. She knew that I did not like talking about Nick, or anything to do with him, and yet, she had brought him up on the most important day of my life, my wedding day. This was a fresh start for me, and she had an opportunity to be a good mother to me. Maybe she had been there for me when I broke up with Nick, but I think that's pretty much the bare minimum that she could have done for me. I don't owe her any apology, and I think I'm gonna block her so that she does not reach out to me anymore. Thank you so much for the advice, guys. And also for all the good wishes. Leo and I are really happy and thankful from the bottom of our hearts for all the support that you guys have shown us. Update 2. I have cut my mother out of my life. I have blocked her on every social media platform, and her phone number as well. It was difficult because, after my father, she was the only parent that I had. So even though we were not close, I did have an emotional bond with her. But that's gone now because evidently, I am not a priority for her. And I'm fine with it. I do have people in my life who will treat me better than her, Leo, and his family definitely do. And that is enough for me. I do not need to go back to the people who have mistreated me in the past, just because I'm used to it. I'm not going down that road again. Update 3. Hi guys. So it has been 6 months since I got married, and I just thought I would update you guys on how everything has been going. Leo and I are super happy. We just came back from a long honeymoon. We were not able to go immediately after our wedding because we had a lot of work to catch up on. But we finally went on our honeymoon a couple of weeks ago, and it was super relaxing and fun. I have also not been in touch with my mother for these past 6 months, and she has been going around, telling everybody how much she has done for me and how ungrateful I am. But it does not matter to me, because everybody in the family knows that what I said, at the wedding that day, was all true, and I would not even have said any of that, had she not been joking about my trauma. So it was just for that, as simple as that. But anyway, I don't want to spoil the vibe right now by talking about my mother. The bottom line is, that Leo and I are happy, just like I had believed that we would be. And I am actually pretty grateful for the way that things turned out for me. My mother can go take a hike.